Hi guys, my name is Bex and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing to you my September wrap-up. Day of September today, and I was looking at the books that I was reading and I went, there's no way in hell I'm going to get these books finished for the end of the month. So I thought I would film my wrap up for you guys and get this one up to you on the first day of the month, so you know what I read in the month of September, and so we can move on to October, which I know is going to be an amazing reading month. So the month of September was a really interesting reading month because I read a lot of books that I would not normally read, which was really exciting. I joined in on the ContemporaryAthon, where you can find my vlog and my TBR up in the cards here if you would like to check out what my TBR was when I started, as well as my vlog of the whole experience. I read a lot more different genres than I would normally read, so let's get straight into the stats. So in the month of September, I read a total of 8 books, 3 physical books, 2 audiobooks, 2 graphic novels, and 1 ebook. And this totaled 2,466 pages, which is a lot bigger than my previous month, even though I read the same amount of books. Now, the genre breakup is a lot different to last month as well. So I read 2 fantasy books, 4 contemporary books, who the fuck am I? 1 non-fiction biography, and 1 sci-fi. I had 1 2-star book, 1 3-star book, 1 3.5-star book, 3 4-star books, and 2 5-star books. Now, with all my stats out of the way, let's get into what I read, going from my least favorite book all the way to my favorite book, and I'll also tell you while I'm reviewing them which one I read for the ContemporaryAthon. Starting with my least favorite book of the month, it was Snot Girl Volume 1, Green Hair, Don't Care by Brian Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung. I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars, and this was one of the books I read for the ContemporaryAthon. And I read this one for the challenge of read a book by an author that is new to you, and I've never read anything by Brian Lee O'Malley or Leslie Hung, so this one fit the challenge perfectly, but this was an utter disappointment. It follows a girl named Lottie who is a fashion blogger and who's just living her social media life. On the outside, she is perfect. Her life looks like a dream, but in reality, she has significantly bad allergies. It gets a little bit crazy from there. She is put on new medication and then someone ends up dead. What I really loved about this book was the art. The art in this is absolutely stunning. However, the characters are unlikable and slightly psychopathic. I was left confused when I finished reading it. I just don't know what's happened. I have no idea what happened. You can probably see that in my vlog that I was just like, what did I just read? But I'm not sure if I'm going to continue this. I kind of want to continue it to be like what actually happened and find out more, but I don't think I hate myself enough to continue. The next book I will be talking to you about is Giant Days, Volume 1 by John Allison and Lissa Treeman. This is a book I gave 3 out of 5 stars and was also a book for the ContemporaryAthon. This covered the challenge of a book with orange on the cover because it's very orange. And I didn't hate this, but I did not love it at all. It basically follows Susan, Esther, and Daisy on their kind of university life. They are dealing with experimentation, they are dealing with boys, they are dealing with all the fun stuff, a little bit of influenza, you know how it goes. But this one lacked in plot. I don't even know what happened with this one. It was a very meh book for me. I'll probably continue it because I didn't hate it. I was hoping it was a little bit more because the plot seemed a little bit all over the place. The artwork in this one is okay. It's not my favorite style, but it didn't take away from the book, and I think it matched the dialogue really well. Overall, it was a okay read. The next book I'll be talking to you about is Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. This one I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This follows a guy named Michael who is an atheist and goes to a very strict Catholic school. His family is always moving around and he doesn't really want to make friends because he just knows that they might pick up and move their lives again. Michael thinks he'll be very alone in this school as a non-believer, but then he meets Lucy, who is also a little bit different, and then he uncovers the Heretics Anonymous group. Their little club goes a little bit out of control and the story escalates from here. It was a good story. I found it funny in parts. It wasn't like a divine comedy like it's pitched as. It wasn't as funny as I hoped, but it had some really entertaining parts. This one felt to me like a coming of age story, and I definitely recommend it if you like that sort of thing. It didn't do too much for me. I went to a Catholic school as well, and I can't really relate my experience to the experience that Michael had, but I enjoyed the friendship aspect. It didn't grip me as much as I was hoping it would. The Sassy Book Club run by Miss Sassy Cassie, I'll leave her link down below, is actually talking about Heretics Anonymous. I'm not part of the chat this time, but I thought I would tell you about it anyway because I know some fabulous people joining in. So I'll leave a link to that down below. I believe their live show is in a couple of weeks if you would like to join that. And this one was for the ContemporaryAthon as well, for the challenge of your initials in the cover. My initials are R-A-H, and there is an R, an A, and a H on the cover. So this one was perfect for the challenge. Unfortunately, I didn't love it as much as I would hope, but it was still a good book. The next book I'm going to be talking to you about is one of my audiobooks, and it was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and it fulfilled the diverse challenge as well as a book in a non-traditional format. And Born a Crime is a non-fiction biography of Trevor Noah and about his life growing up in South Africa. It was a really, really interesting story. I unfortunately went in there thinking it was going to be something that it wasn't. I went into it thinking that it was going to be funny and amusing, but it wasn't. It was actually really raw and emotional. It was a real telling about his life, which I thought was good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I felt like I went into it thinking it was something it wasn't, so I couldn't give my rating any higher, but that doesn't take away from the story because it was well written. And the audiobook is narrated by him too, which was a really, really good experience because he was physically telling you his story, which was really, really beautiful. I'm not normally someone who goes into biographies, so it was really, really difficult to get into. Some bits were a bit slow, but I think for an introduction to biographies for me, it was really, really good. My next 4-star read of the month was Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. This continues my read. I am doing one Percy Jackson book a month on audiobook, which I'm really, really loving, and this one definitely stepped it up from the last 3. I can't really tell you much about the Percy Jackson series, especially not Battle of the Labyrinth, because there's obviously 3 books prior to this, but it's a fun adventure story about friendship and Percy, who is a demigod. Basically, he is the son of Poseidon and a human woman, and he goes on some quests because there's some real shit going on in here. It's getting a bit hectic. This is a middle grade, so it's really, really fun, but I find that the story always goes in the same sort of way. Every book flows the exact same, but I'm starting to enjoy more of these as I don't know anything about them, and I'm definitely excited to get into the last book of the series. I highly recommend these ones to younger readers. I think they're really, really fun. They're a really good time, and I'm glad I'm getting into them even though it's a bit late. Now we are on to my last 4-star read of the month, and that is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which was my sci-fi of the month, but was also on my ContemporaryAthon TBR because I didn't know it was a sci-fi. I probably should have guessed that. I didn't. My bad. It was my 5-star prediction, and unfortunately it did not hit that mark. It follows a guy named Jason Desson who is living his life. He has a wife and a child. He was a very, very good scientist, and he had to give up his scientific journey to be with his family. That being said, he goes out for a drink with an old friend, and he kind of gets taken and wakes up, and he has a completely different life. He's kind of searching for what's real and not real, and I enjoyed the journey following him, finding out that. It's like a mystery, thriller, sci-fi, and it gave me really, really creepy vibes, which I liked. I liked the scientific background, but unfortunately I just didn't, there was something missing for me. There was something that just didn't hold my attention the whole time. I could easily put this one down. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I was hoping I'd love this as much as everybody else because I've heard some amazing things. I still really, really liked it. It just missed that 5-star prediction for me, unfortunately. Moving on to my top 2 reads of the month. My 5-star reads, that is, as well. Now, number 2 on my list is Moonrise by Sarah Crossan. I picked this one up while I was at the hairdresser. This was outside the readathon. So I don't know what attracted this one to me, but I knew it was told in prose, and I heard Erina from My Life as Erina talk about it, and I picked it up on ebook on a whim, and I freaking loved it. I got through it in one sitting. I read it all through my hairdressing appointment, and then I got home and finished it at night, and it was really, really good. And it follows a guy named Joe who has not seen his brother for 10 years, and that is because he is in prison. But unfortunately, Ed is on death row, and Joe takes this time to go to where he is in Texas, and with his execution day set, this is probably the last time they're going to be together. The one thing I would say about this novel is that it was moving. It was touching, it was beautifully written. The prose didn't take away from the story. I'm not normally like a poetry prose reader, but I jumped into this and I went in there with 0 expectations and it blew me away. I ended up crying, and I'm not like a huge emotional reader. I don't cry too much in books. I do cry a little bit though, so you know. But I was tearing up, and it was such a journey, and I really recommend this one to anyone. It's a contemporary, goes through the life of family members who have people incarcerated, and it was just next level. Especially coming from, we don't have executions here in Australia, it was interesting to read about the death row process a little bit. I'm a little bit speechless about this one because it really, really moved me, which I didn't think it was. And it's really unfortunate that I didn't have this one in my TBR for the ContemporaryAthon, but I feel like the ContemporaryAthon really helped me just get a little bit outside my comfort zone and then pick up this book, Moonrise, which I normally wouldn't pick up, and I actually really enjoyed it. Now moving on to my favourite read of the month. It was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I picked this one up because I've been telling everyone I would pick it up. I finished the Shadow and Bone trilogy a couple months ago, and obviously King of Scars is coming out soon, and apparently I have to read this to read that, so I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just pick it up. Like, I wanted to read it, but I just didn't think I'd have time, and it's such a chunker. I loved it. I loved every second of it. 5 out of 5 stars. I loved the characters. I loved the morally grey concept of them as well. I loved their dynamics as a group and separately. I think they all had intricate, complex backstories. The plot was fantastic. I had originally given this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and then when I ranked my ratings, because every month I rank what my least favourite to my favourite, and I had to put this one above Moonrise, so I had to bump it up to a 5 stars because there was so much in this, and it was such a complex story. It is about criminal prodigy Kaz Brecker, who is kind of propositioned with a heist to break into the ice court, which is impenetrable. And he kind of drags together these different people from different backgrounds, and they go on a heist. It's an adventure. It's amazing. I highly, highly recommend this. This is better than the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Much better. I'm glad that we didn't have any like love triangle bullshit. It was just an amazing story, and honestly, Leigh Bardugo can no wrong, and I cannot wait to get into Crooked Kingdom. But I'm going to hold off a little bit because I got a lot of books to read next month, so it's definitely coming, but this was amazing. And that is it for me today, guys. Those are the books that I read in the month of September, and I had some really, really good reads. I loved getting out of my comfort zone, but I also loved diving into some fantasy as well. But that is it for me today, guys. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and have not already, and chat to me down in the comments. Let me know what books you read in the month of September, or if you've read any of the books that I've read, tell me if you liked them and what rating you gave them. That is it for me today, guys. I make videos every Monday and Thursday, and I'll see you in a new one. Bye!